In the last 4 years, I've owned 10 different fat bikes. I knew there were quite a few, but when I actually counted it up, even I was surprised. What surprised me even more, though, was that 3 of those 10 were one bike, the Salsa Mukluk. Now that I've had a couple of months back on one, I thought I should give my 2 cents on what I think of this classic fat bike. Salsa released the Mukluk in 2010, and although it wasn't the first fat bike to market, it quickly established itself as a serious contender. While the first version was aimed simply at allowing you to ride on snow, sand, and other soft surfaces, it quickly moved to an adventure focus with mounts for bags, a large frame triangle, and massive tire clearance. In 2017, Salsa even released the bike in a carbon flavor with identical geometry. I've never ridden one of those, but I do have experience with carbon fat bikes, and I can tell you that the couple of pounds of weight it saves you is actually pretty noticeable. But what makes the Mukluk such a staple of the fat bike world? I think it comes down to a simple phrase: jack of all trades, master of none. Besides maybe bike packing and ultra distance type stuff, it's not particularly good or bad at anything. It just kinda gets the job done. Yeah, it does have a lot of mounting points, but to be honest, most fat bikes do nowadays. The geometry isn't modern, but it's also not outdated. The reach is a little short, and the stack's a little high. The head tube angle is on the steeper side, but not so steep that it's awkward on descents. The chainstays are also adjustable from 440 to 457 millimeters, which for a fat bike ranges from fairly short to just kind of average. I could keep going with the geo numbers here, but I think you get where I'm going with this. Salsa says, Mukluk's geometry works extremely well in all conditions and use cases. And while I wouldn't use the word extremely, I've found that to be generally true. My RST Mayor is a way better bike for a lot of trails in the summer, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't ride a Mukluk on the same trails. I'd just be slower and way more cautious. I feel like I sound pretty negative here, but I don't want you to think that I hate this bike, because that's definitely not the case. In fact, I owe my love for fat bikes to it. My first fat bike was a 2016 Mukluk that was bright yellow and had orange wheels, and I rode that thing everywhere. It was my only bike for anything off pavement, and it handled everything I threw at it. It wasn't the perfect tool for the job, but it got it done without too much complaint. It showed me just how capable a rigid bike with big tires and a well thought out geometry could really be. In a world that was increasingly getting more enduro, I found myself having more fun than ever on a bike with no travel to speak of. When I'm looking at a fat bike, I think there's a spectrum of design. Some are designed to perform as well as possible in soft and slower speed conditions, more of the snow and sand side of things, while others are designed to be trail shredders. Over the years, I found I personally like a fat bike that leans more on the dirt side, but that's because I want something that I can ride all year that won't hold me back on rowdier trails. My Mayor definitely falls a little more to that side of the scale because for a fat bike, it's pretty long, low, and slack. If I were to put the Mukluk on this scale though, I'd place it pretty close to the middle with a slight pull to that snowy side. While the Mayor is probably a better year-round bike for me personally, I'd actually probably pick the Mukluk if I was wanting a bike mostly for snow and slow-paced exploring. It just has a more balanced feel and can be easier to handle in unpredictable snow conditions. And when it comes down to it, that's exactly the kind of rider I think this bike is perfect for. Someone who wants to be able to ride all winter long, explore back roads and trails, and have a bike that'll get them through whatever their route throws their way. Overall, the Mukluk is just a good, solid choice of a fat bike. It's not the lightest or the slackest or the most capable year-round, but it's about as versatile as you can get. It'll clear whatever tires you want, run a rigid or suspension fork, use 12 gears or only one, and it has room for a pretty large frame bag. I'm excited to have one again, and even if I don't view it as my primary bike, I'd still recommend it to anyone who's interested in the fat bike life. If you want to learn more about fat bikes and the different categories out there, be sure to check out my videos on fat bike tire sizes and how to choose a fat bike. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more of my videos in the future, and let me know what you think of this one down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.